Robinson Crusoe, Chapter 2 resumed. While I was in the view of the moor that was swimming, I stood out directly to sea with the boat, rather stretching to windward, that they might think me gone towards the strait's mouth, as indeed anyone that had been in the therewiths must have been supposed to do, for who would have supposed we were sailed unto the southward, to the truly barbarian coast, where whole nations of negroes were sure to surround us with their canoes and destroy us, where we could not go on shore, but we should be devoured by savage beasts, or more merciless savages of humankind. But as soon as it grew dusk in the evening, I changed my course. I steered directly south and by east, bending my course a little towards the east, that I might keep in with the shore, and having a fair, fresh gale of wind, and a smooth, quiet sea, I made such sail that I believe, by the next day, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when I first made the land, I could not be less than 150 miles south of Salé, quite beyond the Emperor of Morocco's dominions, or indeed of any other king thereabouts, for we saw no people. Yet such was the fright I had taken of the Moors, and the dreadful apprehensions I had of falling into their hands, that I would not stop or go on shore, or come to an anchor, the wind continuing fair till I had sailed in that manner 5 days, and then the wind shifting to the southward. I concluded also that if any of our vessels were in the chase of me, they also would now give over. So I ventured to make to the coast, and came to an anchor in the mouth of a little river. I knew not what, nor where, neither what latitude, what country, what nation, or what river. I neither saw nor desired to see any people. The principal thing I wanted was fresh water. We came into this creek in the evening, resolving to swim on shore as soon as it was dark, and discover the country. But as soon as it was quite dark, we heard such dreadful noises of the barking, roaring, and howling. Is it howling, is it?
Howling.
Yes, it is. And howling of wild creatures, of we knew not what kinds, that the poor boy was ready to die with fear, and begged of me not to go on shore till day. Well, succery, said I, then I won't. But it may be that we may see men by day who will be as bad to us as those lions. Then we gave them the shoot gun, not shotgun, shoot gun, says Zakshri, laughing. Make them run away. Such English Zakshri spoke, by conversing among us slaves. Thesaurus, not Thesaurus, Thesaurus. Bear in mind, Thesaurus, not Thesaurus. Thesaurus, barking adjective, latrant, obey, latration, beasts, none, stock, creek, none, it's a none, brook, cove, bay, stream, inlet, river, bayou, rivulet. It also can mean to burn, runnel, back, devoured, adjective, eaten up, howling. As a noun, it can mean howl, cry. Adjective also means fierce, fantastic, gross, glaring, marvelous, wonderful, wondrous, weeping. What's this?
Sniveling.
Sniveling. I've never heard of this word. So yeah, snub, sniv. Merciless, adjective, brutal, pitiless, yeah, unmerciful, remorseless, heartless, implacable, inhuman, hard, grim, barbarous. Barbarous? Is it barbarous or otherwise? Yeah, unfeeling. Antonyms: charitable, kind, humane, soft, caring, tolerant, resolving, factoring, resolve, settlement, solving, solution, factorization, diagonalization, declaration, firmness, what's that? Resoluteness. In verb, as a verb, it can mean solve. Southward, adverb. Southwards, suddenly. Adjective, southbound, southern. Steered, directed. Thereabouts, adjective, or adverb, about. Nearly, generally, around, approximately, in the region of, more or less, something like, almost, so. Also mean hereabouts as an adverb. Windward, downwind. Weatherboard, to windward, weather side, direction. As an adjective, it can mean tempestuous. Tempestuous?
Flatulent.
Flatulent, yeah. Is it pronounced tempestuous?
Tempestuous.
Tempestuous, sorry, not tempestuous. Tempestuous, empty, airy, windy. Boisterous. Is it boisterous? Crap. Boisterous. Just need to look up, finish looking up this.
Boisterous.
Yes, it means, it's pronounced boisterous. Yeah, resuming. However, I was glad to see the boy so cheerful, and I gave him a dram out of our patron's case of bottles to cheer him up. After all, Sakshui's advice was good, and I took it. We dropped our little anchor and lay still at night. I say still, for we slept none. For in 2 or 3 hours we saw vast great creatures. We knew not what to call them, of many sorts. Come down to the seashore and run into the water, wallowing and washing themselves for the pleasure of cooling themselves. And they made such a hideous howlings and yellings that I never indeed heard the like. Sakshri was dreadfully frightened, and indeed so was I too. But we were both more frightened when we heard one of those mighty creatures come swimming towards our boat. We could not see him, but we might hear him by his blowing to be a monstrous, huge, and furious beast. Sakshri said it was a lion, and it might be so for aught I know. But poor Sakshri cried to me to weigh the anchor and row away. No, says I, Sakshri, we can slip our cable with the buoy to it and go off to sea. They cannot follow us far. I had no sooner said so, but I perceived the creature, whatever it was, within 2 oars' length, which something surprised me. However, I immediately stepped to the cabin door, and taking up my gun, fired at him, upon which he immediately turned about and swam towards the shore again. But it is impossible to describe the horrid noises and hideous cries and howlings that were raised, as well upon the edge of the shore as higher within the country, upon the noise or report of the gun, a thing I have some reason to believe those creatures had never heard before. This convinced me that there was no going on shore for us in the night on that coast, and how to venture on the shore in the day was another question too. For to have fallen into the hands of any of the savages had been as bad as to have fallen into the hands of the lions and tigers. At least we were equally apprehensive of the danger of it.
Apprehensive.
Yes, but that as it would, we were obliged to go. Is it obliged? Obliged, yeah.
Obliged.
Yes, obliged. Shit. We were obliged to go on shore somewhere or other for water, for we had not a pint left in the boat. When and where to get to it was the point. Secretary said if I would let him go on shore with one of the jars, he would find if there was any water, and bring some to me. So yeah, the thesaurus, apprehensive, adjective, anxious, fearful, uneasy, alarmed, worried, timid, doubtful, shy, insecure, jealous. It can also mean jealous. I've never heard of that. So yeah, mostly as an adjective it means nervous or anxious, fearful, It has antonyms: assured, unworried, calm, unafraid, cocksure, trusting, serene, unconcerned, fearless, carefree, brave. So ought, I suppose it means nada, is it? Ought. Yeah. As a noun, it means no, is it? N-I-L. Is it pronounced no?
Nil.
Nail. Yeah, nail. Nothing. Yeah, nada. Zero, anything. Out. Cipher. Nix. Cipher. Not. Now. Zip. Adjective. Any. So, I can't believe this. The thesaurus also explains what cooling means. Freezing, refrigeration, cooler, mechanism, quenching, temperature reduction, cooling system. As an adjective, it means cooler, refrigerant, is it? A lying heat, refrigerant. Oh crap. Can't select the text properly here. Never mind. So dram means drachma. Drachma, is it? Drachma nib. Ancus, spot. Dynamic, random access memory. And snifter, blast. I don't know what this word means actually. Jesus Christ, never mind. Hideous, dreadful, frightful, fearful, ghastly, horrid, ugly, repulsive, lurid, horrible, grisly, grin, antonyms: lovely, pleasant, beautiful, wonderful. Monstrous as an adjective means huge, atrocious, heinous, monster, immense, gigantic, grievous, ugly, flagitious, flagitious, criminal, villainous, villain. Yeah, it means someone like a villain. Yeah. So flagitious, dreadful. Antonyms: it has tiny, minute, beautiful, good, small, lovely, attractive. Slaves, bondsmen. Yeah, that's what I saw in the Bible, in fact. Helotry. So slaves has an synonym: helotry, not harlotry. Helotry. Helot. Yeah. Tigers, raccoons, snow leopards, what? What's this one? never mind. Let's just skip the thesaurus for now. So, resuming the chapter, I asked him why he would go, why I should not go, and he stay in the boat. The boy answered with so much affection as made me love him ever after. Says he, if wild mans come, they eat me, you go away. Well, Secretary, said I, we will both go, and if the wild mans come, we will kill them. They shall eat neither of us. So I gave Secretary a piece of rusk bread to eat, and a dram out of our patron's case of bottles which I mentioned before, and we hauled the boat in as near the shore as we thought was proper. So waded on shore, carrying nothing but our arms and 2 jars for water. I did not care to go out of sight of the boat, fearing the coming of canoes with savages down the river. But the boy, seeing a low place about a mile up the country, rambled to it, and by I saw him come running towards me. I thought he was pursued by some savage, or frighted with some wild beast, and I ran forward towards him to help him. But when I came nearer to him, I saw something hanging over his shoulders, which was a creature that he had shot like a hare, but different in color and longer legs. However, we were very glad of it, and it was very good meat. But the great joy that poor Secretary came with was to tell me he had found good water and seen no wild mans. But we found afterwards that we need not take such pains for water, for a little higher up the creek, where we were, we found the water fresh when the tide was out, which flowed but a little way up. So we filled our jars and feasted on the hare he had killed, and prepared to go on our way, having seen no footsteps of any human creature in that part of the country. As I had been on one voyage to this coast before, I knew very well that the islands of what's this?
Canaries.
The islands of Canaries and the Cape de Verde Islands.
Cap de Verde.
The Cap de Verde in French. The Cap de Verde.
Cap de Verde.
Cap de Verde. Cap de Verde Islands also lay not far off from the coast. But as I had no instruments to take on an observation to know what latitude we were in, and not exactly knowing, or at least remembering, what latitude they were in, I knew not where to look for them, or when to stand off to see towards them. Otherwise, I might now easily have found some of these islands. But my hope was that if I stood along this coast till I came to that part where the English traded, I should find some of the vessels upon their usual design of trade that would relieve and take us in. The Thoris, beast, animal, monster, swine, fed, fiend, creature, scavenger, savage, creature. Not sure about the origin of such word. Critter. What does critter mean? It means some animal. Is it critter? What's the origin of such word? Variant of creature. Yeah, it's a variant of the word creature, actually. Yeah, that's why it sounds like creature. Yeah. Animate being, barbarian. As an adjective, it can also mean bear, antonym, man. Footsteps, road, footprints, way, trail, path in American accent, path in British accent. But yeah, I still tend to pronounce it in my mind, you know, path instead of path. Though I pretty much began to shift from tending to pronounce it path, tending to pronounce it as path to path, track, footpath, hare, letroid, leporid, coney, puss, coney, puss, jackrabbit, coney, antelope. It also means antelope. Yeah, courser, eagle. Nah, it can't be. Oh, the third. So from now on, I'm just gonna read the words that I don't find myself too familiarized with in thesaurus. Yeah. So yeah, let's resume. By the best of my calculation, that place where I now was must be that country which, lying between the Emperor of Morocco's dominions and the Negroes, lies waste and uninhabited, except by wild beasts, the Negroes having abandoned it and gone farther south for fear of the Moors. And the Moors, not thinking it worth inhabiting by reason of its barrenness, and indeed both forsaking it because of the prodigious number of tigers. Prodigious, not prodigious. Prodigious. It should mean many, in remarkably or impressively great in extent, size, or degree. Yeah. Because of it, the prodigious number of tigers, lions, leopards, and other furious creatures which harbor there, so that the Moors use it for their hunting only, where they go like an army, 2,000 or 3,000 men at a time, and indeed for near 100 miles together. Upon this coast we saw nothing but a waste, uninhabited country by day, and heard nothing but howlings and roarings of wild beasts by night. Once or twice in the daytime I thought I saw the pickle of Tenerife, being the high top of the mountain Tenerife in the Canaries, and had a great mind to venture out in the hopes of reaching thither. But having tried twice, I was forced in again by contrary winds, the sea also going too high for my little vessel, so I resolved to pursue my first design and keep along the shore. Several times I was obliged to land for fresh water after we had left this place, and once in particular, being early in the morning, we came to an anchor under a little point of land which was pretty high, and the tide beginning to flow, we lay still to go farther in. Saxury, whose eyes were more about him than it seems mine were, calls softly to me and tells me that we had best go farther off the shore. For he says he, look, yonder lies a dreadful monster on the side of that hillock, fast asleep. I looked where he pointed and saw a dreadful monster indeed, for it was a terrible great lion that lay on the side of the shore, under the shade of a piece of the hill that hung as it were a little over him. Saxury says I, you shall on shore and kill him. Saxury looked frightened and said, me kill, he eat me at one mouthful he meant. However, I said no more to the boy, but bade him lie still, and I took our biggest gun, which was almost musket bore, and loaded with a good charge of powder, and with 2 slugs, and laid it down. Then I loaded another gun with 2 bullets, and the third, for we had 3 pieces. I loaded with 5 smaller bullets, and no end. I took the best aim I could with the first piece to have shot him in the head, but he lay so with his leg raised a little above his nose that the slugs hit his leg about the knee and broke the bone. He started up, growling at first, but finding his leg broken, fell down again, and then got up 3 legs and gave the most hideous roar that I ever heard. I was a little surprised that I had not hit him on the head. However, I took up the second piece immediately, and though he began to move off, fired again and shot him in the head, and had the pleasure to see him drop and make but little noise, but lie struggling for life. Then Sakshri took heart, and would have me let him go on shore. Well, go, said I. So the boy jumped into the water, and taking a little gun in one hand, swam to the shore with the other hand, and coming close to the creature, put the muzzle of the piece to his ear and shot him in the head again, which dispatched him quite. This was game indeed to us, but this was game indeed to us, but this was no food. I was very sorry to lose 3 charges of powder and shot upon a creature that was good for nothing to us. However, Sakshri said he would have some of him, so he comes on board and asked me to give him the hatchet. For what, Sakshri, said I. Me cut off his head, said he. However, Sakshri could not cut off his head, but he cut off a foot and brought it with him, and it was a monstrous great one. I bethought myself, however, that perhaps the skin of him might, one way or other, be of some value to us, and I resolved to take off his skin if I could. So Sakshri and I went to work with him, but Sakshri was much the better workman at it, for I knew very ill how to do it. Indeed, it took us both up the whole day, but at last we got off the hide of him, and spreading it on the top of our cabin. The sun effectually dried it in 2 days' time, and it afterwards served me to lie upon. So this concludes chapter 3. So before we formally conclude chapter 2 of Robinson Crusoe, allow me to end this video by reading the thesaurus here. You know, the words, the vocabs I don't find myself too familiar with. So hillock means hill, mound, rise, barrel, hammock, elevation, heap. There's a word that seems quite Icelandic actually, spelled Kopje. I don't know how to pronounce it, and I can't use my iPad to select the word to let Siri pronounce it. So yeah. What else? Yonder, beyond, further, farther. So it's most chiefly used as an adverb. Yeah. Yonder. Look, yonder lies the dreadful monster. Yeah. Yonder. Yeah. So in Japanese, asoko no mukou no kare wa kaigan ni chikai mukou no ie ni sunde ita. Asoko goran, look over yonder. Look over there. So yonder. So cabin charges, growling, it means grunting, doggish, churlish, brutal, hoarse. Is it? Hoarse. Muzzle, mouth, gun point, nose. Yeah. That's it. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Yeah, I shall resume reading this book next time, if God willing. Take care, stay safe, stay put. Remain steadfast and faithful. See you next time. Bye bye. Cheers.